Tina Turner, simply the best. I don't know if you've made a New Year's resolution this year, new year, new me, that kind of thing. In theory it sounds great, but have you ever stuck to all your goals? What if you aim to improve just a little bit every day instead of expecting to be simply the best? That's something Greg Mowbray has written about. He's an author, mentor and speaker. He's joined us in the studio, also had an article published in the Herald, that will be published in the Herald tomorrow, so we thought we'd catch up with him today. Greg Mowbray, good to see you.
Good morning, Garth. Happy New Year.
Yes, right back at you. Now, tell us where this idea of, rather than trying to be the best, being better, how'd you decide to come up with that?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. I've been in leadership development for over about 15 years now, Garth, and in my teachings I like to use quotes from wise people. And there's a lovely quote from an ex-US president, a guy called Quincy Adams, who was the 6th US president from 1825 to 1829. So this quote is nearly 200 years old.
And sometimes those old quotes have more resonance, don't
Well, Garth, I was using this quote for a long time before I actually worked out who Quincy Adams was. I loved the quote,
Yeah.
and I really unpacked it in my teaching. But when I went back and looked at the history, I'm writing another book, and I really went back and looked at the history. So this quote is nearly 200 years old, and it goes like this: if your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and to become more, well, then you're a leader. So when I unpacked that as part of my teaching and part of my research, it occurred to me that the number one job of a leader, whether you're a student leader or a coach of a footy team, or you're leading an organisation, or you're the Prime Minister of Australia, to me the single most important job of a leader is to help people become better. Now, you combine that with, you've probably heard good, better, best, right? Mm-hmm. So the guy that steps up on, or the guy or girl who steps up on the podium at the Olympics to accept the bronze medal, you'd have to agree that they'd have to be good, wouldn't they? Yeah, to qualify for the Olympics, to come third in the Olympics final, so they step up. So they're good. But the person who steps up on the silver medal podium, they've been better than the third person, right? So, and of course the gold medal, they've been the best. But there can only be one gold medal winner. There can only be one best. But every single one of us can be better. We can be better parents, we can be better partners, we can be better at our job, we can be better leaders. So my word for 2018, and as I said, towards the end of this year I'll be releasing a book on it. And so all of my teaching this year and all of my focus on this year is about helping people realise that the real goal should be that we've got to strive every day to be a little better, rather than just focus on being the best. Because one of the things that I think happens, particularly in leadership, is that people strive to be the best, and that's good, and they realise that they can't be the best, and they give up a little bit. They stop trying. Whereas every single one of us, we can wake up every day and go, you know what, I'm going to be a little bit better today than I was yesterday.
There's been a lot said about youngsters when they compete now. They don't necessarily win, but they participate.
Yep.
Is it taking it a step further, this whole notion that you don't have any losers, that everyone's a winner? How do you get that sort of sense into children when it comes to competing as well? I guess you've got to find a way of measuring getting better, haven't you?
Well, you do, and certainly maybe the Olympic Games is a clumsy metaphor because there's not many of us are going to make it to the Olympics. So many of us probably don't try and be the best archer or swimmer or runner or triathlete or whatever. I'm really involved with my two little girls. They're 9 and 7 in local soccer, Cooks Hill Soccer. And we strive to encourage those little girls to get better every training session and get better every game, and we try and build on that. Now, at the end of the year...
But you've got to give them things to get better at too, don't you? You've got to give people an idea of what they're getting better at, I guess. Of course.
And better in the context of teaching little girls how to play soccer to participate is about getting better at your skills or getting better at holding a formation within a game. But of course, at the end of the year, we give them, every one of them gets a trophy. And I was just noticing in Maddie's, my little 9-year-old's bedroom, she's got all of these soccer trophies. She's only played for 3 or 4 years, but she's got all these soccer trophies, and they're all about participation. Look, I know there's a lot of people who who criticise this, reward people for participation. I don't. I think it's a good thing. But at the same time, I'm a mad sports nut, and I absolutely understand that we have to, if you're elite, you have to strive to be the best. I want the Knights to win this year. That's how silly I am.
Let's get into the finals.
Yeah,
Greg Mowbray is with me this morning. Greg is an author. He's a public speaker as well. He's written this article in Newcastle Herald for tomorrow about not necessarily striving to be the best, but being better. As an adult, an adult leader, for instance, I guess a lot of focus is put on them or us to perform ourselves. How does a leader switch that around and make sure they're concentrating on doing their job well as the people under them or with them? Yeah,
so it might sound that I'm against this concept of best. I'm not, but the context that I like to talk about best in Garth is personal best. So I encourage the leaders that I work with, and I'm privileged to work with a lot of aspiring leaders, and some of them are really fresh and young and inexperienced in their leadership, so they might have just been given a supervisor role, so they might be looking after 2 or 3 people. But I also work with CEOs of publicly listed national companies, so that you can imagine the spectrum of their ability and their skill. But I've got the same message for all of them, and that is you've got to strive to be better than what you are now.
Yeah.
And that's a message that resonates with everyone,
and
regardless.
Just leading by example, I guess.
Absolutely.
In some ways, yeah.
And again, I go back to that quote by John Quincy Adams. Leadership, there are so many things that we can become overwhelmed with when we think about how can we become a better leader. I Googled definition of leadership recently for a blog that I was writing. I got 430 million search results.
Jeez.
And they can't all be right, they can't all be wrong, right?
No.
So we can tend to be overwhelmed with the number of things that we've got to try to do to become a better leader. But I bring it down to one thing, and that is every day, and I'd say this to all of the business leaders going back to work today, your focus for this year should be, what have I done today to help my people become better? And what can I do tomorrow to help each one of them, and then maybe as a team, and then maybe as an overall group, what can I do to help them become better? And if there's that commitment to continuous improvement, every day trying to be better than we were yesterday, every month trying to be better than we were the month before, there'll be continuous improvement and there'll be growth. And we may not be the best organisation in the world, but we'll maybe be the personal best version of the organisation that we can be.
You might want to pop your headphones on. We just had a call from Simon from Nelson Bay. He wanted to make a comment about kids' sport. G'day, Simon.
Hey, Simon.
What do you want to say?
Yep. Aspire to. Yeah. Yeah, because kids aren't fools, Simon. So if you say to them, we want you to go out there and be the best, we want you to win today, and a kid might go, well, I'm actually a metre behind that other jumper. But if you say to them, hey, listen, I really, really want you to do your personal best today, and it might be by a centimetre, a kid will believe in themselves and they'll go out and try. That's an awesome concept, Simon. Yeah, and if we could take that thinking, Simon, into community, into organisations, into politics, I reckon the world would be a better place.
And how old are you girls, Simon? 7 and 9.
Same as mine.
There you go. Who would have thought? Thanks for your call. Much appreciated, mate. Good to hear from you. Simon from Nelson Bay here on 1233 ABC Newcastle. So, Greg, how much is this notion of getting better and getting better as a leader by helping those underneath you? Is it a notion? Is it a philosophy that's growing?
If I'm going to do my job well this year, Garth, there'll be a lot more people that have heard about it. Look, I started kicking this idea around middle of last year, And in the talks that I give and in the training programs that I run, I've been starting to almost pilot the notion, and I've been amazed at the number of people that are buying into it. I wrote a blog, I think it was October, I put it out, and just through social media. And I had, it was simply called Leaders, You Have One Job, and that is to make people better. Wrote about 300 words around that. And I got 1,000 likes on LinkedIn from all over the world. And it was the biggest response I'd had on a LinkedIn blog. And to me, it just resonated. It said, what it said to me is that the concept of making people better, not being the best, but making people better, really resonates with a lot of people. I had probably hundreds of comments from all over the world around this is a simple message. This is the message that we should be teaching our leaders. So I think it's getting a lot of traction.
And one final question, what's the measuring stick? Does it vary from organisation to organisation depending on what you're doing? Are there certain markers that you can use universally to work out whether it's working?
Look, I guess there are, and to use some industry jargon, they'd be KPIs and key result areas and stuff like that. And look, I'm not against that stuff. In fact, I teach that stuff. But I think just a really simple framework for any aspiring leader out there, or even someone who's not in a leadership position, is to take stock of where you are now, to think about where you want to be in the future, and then put a plan in place to gradually and incrementally move towards that. I guess the time now we talk about New Year's resolutions, and I guess there are a lot of people out there listening who go, yeah, I'm going to lose 5 kilos or I'm going to lose 10 kilos. So in the next week or couple of weeks, they'll smash themselves at the gym, they'll pack salads to take to work, and they'll have all of this momentum and enthusiasm. But it'll as with most things that are worthwhile, Garth, there's pain before there's gain, so a lot of people would give up. But in the context of getting better, what I'd say is, if you want to lose 5 kilos, why don't you focus on losing 1 kilo a month over the next 5 months? So that breaks down to just 250 grams a week, and that's not too hard. Mm-hmm. So don't go out and smash yourself 5 times at the gym this week. Maybe go once, maybe have a healthy lunch once, and then next week try it twice. And build that way. And that way, it's sustainable. And I think that's a really important concept when it comes to trying to be better.
Beautiful. I hope you have a great 2018. Good to
you
see
too,
you,
mate.
Thanks for coming in. That's Greg Mowbray here on 12:33 ABC Newcastle. Coming up to 24 past 9 now.